First of all, thank you for joining us today. Recently, myself and my colleague, Chad Jeanette, we conducted a webinar on the recent magazine changes and simplifications that are effective with the 6-month ending June 30th, 2022 publisher statement reporting period. And one of those changes that we briefly went over was the simplification to average price calculation. And the main change is to the calculation is that it's going to be based off of the current 6-month reporting period, not 12 months. So today, what we'd like to do is to go into further detail about the key elements for the average price calculation, then go over the simple calculation formula and provide an example of the average price of calculation. So with that, I'm going to turn over the presentation to my colleague, Chad Jeanette. And many of you know Chad. Chad is our senior audit manager here at AAM, and he's extremely knowledgeable about AAM's magazine rules, reporting, and especially the average price calculation. So with that, Chad?
Thank you, Sandy. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, as Sandy mentioned, the average price will be based on the current 6-month period. So for those of you who have been around for quite a while, and remember the fun of going back in time, 12 months forward, all over the place to get information to report average price, those days are over. As Sandy indicated, this came about because as AAM was reviewing what we considered difficult or is I guess you would say relevant rules and practices, this is one that flew to the top. So I'll go ahead and start the walkthrough. So once again, and you're probably gonna hear me say this several times because we're so used to not doing it this way, it is based on the current 6-month reporting period. So for this June 2022 filing, you are going to be looking at data from January 1, 2022 to June 30, 2022. That's it. The next bullet point here is where things really get shaken up. Previously, we excluded a lot of these things on the list. They were deductions on the old practice. However, with the new practice, they are included in the new average price calculation. So credit cancels, which we formerly deducted, are now included. Subs with premiums, everyone remembers the fun of deducting the premium values out. No longer do we do that. They are included. If you are a title that has international sales, less than 10% for the total circulation of your 6-month period, that may remain in. You do not have to deduct international like you did if it is less than 10%. And then your standard paid categories, membership, the new membership category, partnership, combo sales, those that report double issues, no change there. Frequency change, whether you, and I'll get into this a little bit later in detail. If you have a frequency change in the period, how that impacts the new average price, and also special issues that are not included. So those are the main categories that were affected with this simplification. So what's out then? Well, sponsored sales we still are going to move forward with deducting the sponsored sales. Multi-title digital as well, for those of you who report multi-title digital on your AAM reports, that information, that data will be excluded. Transfers, if you have a transfer in your publication in the period, that will be excluded. And then if you have international sales greater than 10%, those will also be excluded from the calculation. So what's it look like? This flow chart. And this is just for everyone to have a glance at the formula. And I'm actually going to share a average price worksheet that we created. And we did so as, once again, a point of reference, and I'll walk that through. But as you can see, for the average, you're starting out with your average subscription price per copy. Basically, it's your gross sales from everything I just mentioned: combo, individual, membership, partnership, whatever, is all in there to start with. Then you take your deductions, which I just mentioned on sponsored, multi-title, digital, and your international. And then you take the total number of copies associated with the number and you divide by that. So you're going to divide dollars by copies. That will give you an average subscription price per copy. And then you're going to take that average subscription price per copy, and you're going to look at the annual frequency of your title. You will input that in, and then that gives you your average price. So this, once again, is just to give you a visual on what it's going to look like. The next slide here has an actual example where we input some numbers in just to show what I'm walking through here. With that, I'm going to go ahead and share with you the average price worksheet. We did this in a way where so many of our clients here at AM are used to that average price worksheet that has been around forever. We created a hopefully much simpler one to go along with our calculation. The first tab on here basically is a reference sheet. It's got a reminder, once again, about the current 6-month period, also reminding on the worksheet tab that you don't need to input negative numbers. It will calculate everything for you. So step one, what's your subscription information? You're going to put in the dollar amount and number of copies associated with the following. So let me show the worksheet right here. Gross subs, sold calculation, all sub sales, individually subs sold, premiums, etc. The dollar value in the 6-month period associated with all of this, and the number of copies associated with all of this. So going back to step 2, same thing, input the dollar amount and the number of copies associated with sponsored. The worksheet, as you can see, red here, you put it in as a positive, it's going to deduct those. It's going to start the math. Going back, your transfers, if you had any, and your multi-title digital, both here and here, you will also deduct those. And then if you have 10% circulation greater than 10%, you would also deduct that. And here we have, going across, a simple calculation. Notice on this worksheet that anything in green, shaded in green here, is an input cell. So this is what you have to input. And then we did an example just to show how this whole worksheet comes together. So here, we made up, there's $750,000 associated with the gross subscriptions in the period. This is the number of copies that goes with, that ties with this. Here's what we did with sponsored, and that was the total number of copies of sponsored, multi-title digital, and so on. No international, we didn't have any international in this example to deduct. And then, as you can see, the worksheet does everything for you. The only thing you have to remember in this bar is to put in your annual frequency. And based on the slide previously, where, I'll just go back, where we talked about a frequency change, just because I know this question may come up if you have a frequency change. So for June 2022, let's say your frequency for your title is 10. So you are going to base your 6-month, the average price for your title in June on a 10 issue frequency. But let's say when you go to file December, that you had a frequency change and the frequency of your title is now 12. There's 2 options. 1, report it on the survivor, on the most current, which is 12, or wait it. If it's 6 issues at 10, 6 issues at 12, very easy, the weight would be 11. But if you did not start your frequency change until, let's say, if you're a monthly, let's say till September, weight the issues and use that as the frequency. That is completely up to you. So with that, I will go on to the next slide. First of all, let me go back here real quick. This worksheet is not a requirement at all. It is not. It was just something that we made here. So if you wanted to use it, you certainly can. As I was looking at all of this, part of me wanted to add another tab where you literally could put every single one of these items in here just like this. And you could do the calculation by adding each one of these things together to get your gross subs. Then I thought, you know what, let's keep it simple. If all of you want to do that, you may certainly do so. Whatever you choose to do or how you calculate with whatever worksheet is completely up to you. We just wanted kind of a point of reference. And if you wanted to use this, it's available. With that being said, the good thing about this average price calculation is there isn't anything that you're not already reporting. If you happen to be in a fulfillment location, most likely they have these reports because you've used them before. If you're not at a fulfillment location, you still probably have all of these reports because all of this information, especially the dollars, are associated with the normal course of running the title. So nothing out of the ordinary in regards to the new reporting. So just a few reminders. Average price is based on the gross subscriptions, third time saying it, for the current 6 months, no more going back in time or anything such as that. The annual frequency, it is what it is. And when I say that, I'm referring to the frequency change that I just described. And I'm also referring to those titles that base their average price on a different frequency than the physical issues that are on the report. For example, my frequency at the top of my title could show 10, but my average price could show 12 because I have 2 double issues in my period. Many titles do that. No change whatsoever there. It is whatever your frequency is as far as what you want to report for the average price period, just like it's always been. The audit draft, as we start moving towards the 24-month ending reconciliation plan, what is going to show up on the audit draft? Because in that period of time, there are going to be 4 statements. We certainly cannot take all the average prices and take an average of averages. So what we are going to do and what was decided was that we will report the average price from the 4th statement or the last in your period, depending on what your audit period is, as the average price on the audit report. And we're doing that because that is the most current and recent data, and that is what we thought needed to be in the marketplace. If you do have international circulation greater than 10%, you still calculate the standard average price, meaning go ahead and deduct it using the worksheet or whatever worksheet you choose. But you also get the option of doing a disclosure in the notes section where you are including your average price over 10%. If your title has a lot of circulation that's international, we certainly did not want to punish anybody for being in that situation. So the option to include that and report a separate average price is out there. If your title does have that amount of international, you will report 2. It's optional. You don't have to report the second one in the notes. It's there if you want to. Also, as always, retain all of the reports you use for your average price calculation, as they will undoubtedly be asked for at the time of the audit. for the auditor to check the calculation. With that, I'll turn it back over to Sandy to close this the presentation up and give you some hints and help as far as where you can find more information for this this type of topic. Sandy?
Well, thank you, Chad, so much. That was extremely helpful. Do want to point out, as Chad mentioned, that we do have some really good resources available, especially regarding average price. We have updated the guide, and in that guide will also be a link for that worksheet in case you want to use it. If you're used to using worksheets, feel free to use it. If not, you don't need to. But we do have that available for you. And in our follow-up email, we'll include the updated guide as well as the actual copy of the worksheet. So you'd have that available. There's another really good resource on our website, and it'll be included in the follow-up email as well. It'll be a link for this magazine resource hub link. And what that will do, it will direct you to our resources that go over all the different magazine changes, simplifications that we've been discussing and presenting to you the past few months. So great resources in there. It has recordings and presentations from the previous webinars and things of that nature, and also information about just the simplifications in general. We do have another webinar coming up for the magazine changes. We're going to be doing a filing webinar, and it's just going to be going over the 6th of June publisher statement filing, kind of tying everything together. And that webinar is going to be Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022 at 1:30. And there will be a link for you to register. Highly recommend go ahead and register for the webinar, because even if you can't attend, you will be guaranteed to get the follow-up email that will have the recording and the resources. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much and have a great day.